Welcome, everyone. I'm Clintel Hassan, the K-12 School Partnerships and Initiatives Manager with Milwaukee Succeeds, and I'm excited for today's discussion. Investing in our city's youth is critical. From mental health supports to leadership development, we must continue to invest in resources and development tailored to youth. That's why Milwaukee Succeeds is proud to launch Youth Forward MKE, a call to action to rethink high school education by building relationships, creating space for youth perspective and leadership, and shifting power to our most vulnerable youth, Black and Brown males. We encourage you to join us next Wednesday, November 18th at 4 for our live launch event. You can check out Milwaukee Succeeds Facebook page for more information. Solutions-focused coverage on the most pressing issues in our city is imperative. That is why the Greater Milwaukee Foundation has supported the Journal Sentinel's Milwaukee Promise series through a fellowship in public service journalism. Through meaningful and intentional partnerships, we can overcome our city's most complex challenges. And today, we'll explore the powerful impact of mentoring. As we prepare to hear from our incredible panel of speakers, I'd like to leave you all with an excerpt from Maya Angelou's poem, A Pledge to Rescue Our Youth. Young women, young men of color, we add our voices to the voices of your ancestors who speak to you over ancient seas and across impossible mountaintops. We pledge ourselves and our resources to seek for you clean and well-furnished schools, safe and non-threatening streets, employment which makes use of your talents but does not degrade your dignity. You are the best we have. You are all we have. You are what we have become. We pledge you our whole hearts from this day forward. Now we'll have David Umhafer, Director of the O'Brien Fellowship in Public Service Journalism at Marquette University.
Thank you, Clintel. The O'Brien Fellowship was fortunate to host James Causey on campus as he worked on his Milwaukee's Promise series. The fellowship operates out of a newsroom on the ground floor of Johnston Hall at 11th and Wisconsin. Every year, we select 3 to 4 professional journalists from around the country, and they move to Milwaukee. They work on campus with our student journalists for 2 semesters on some of the most ambitious public service journalism projects in the country. Their focus is really on not only uncovering problems, but exploring possible solutions. I was thinking today that those O'Brien Fellows from our 8 years have covered a lot of ground, doing stories on education, crime and policing, housing, politics. And James Causey, in 1 year, working with his photojournalist partner, Angela Peterson, basically has tried to tackle all those topics in a single year, trying to figure out where Milwaukee's Promise went sour and how the community can fix it. So hats off to James for trying that, and he's pulling it off. We were very pleased to support that and the work of our students, and we look forward to the next installments. These public forums are excellent, and I think James has already set a record for events around an O'Brien Fellowship. So James, thank you for your timely work, and you aimed high and you hit the target and showed our students the way. Great lessons. So I'm going to send it back to you to get started.
Thanks, Dave, for those kind words, and it was a pleasure working with the O'Brien students. I'm James Causey, reporter for the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel, and thank you for joining us for this edition of Listen MKE Live. Listen MKE Live is sponsored by the Greater Milwaukee Foundation, which generously supported the Journal Sentinel's Milwaukee's Promise project. Listen MKE Live is a joint project of the Journal Sentinel Ideas Lab, the Milwaukee Public Library, Milwaukee PBS, WWM 89.7, Milwaukee's NPR. Milwaukee's Promise is a year-long project I had the pleasure of working on with photojournalist Angela Peterson, where we traveled to different states to look for solutions to some of our nagging issues that exist in our community. But we also found solutions right here that need to be expanded or supported. I guess what makes this project different is its focus on solutions. We're not rehashing the problems. I mean, let's face it, we all know what the problems are. Now it's time to address them. Today's topic is reading. More importantly, the role mentors could play in closing that reading gap between Black and white boys. Mentoring can play a bigger role in the daily lives of our young people, and we'll talk about that as well in this program. I will be your host today, along with co-host Earl Arms, the new host of Black Nouveau. Last year, I traveled to Nashville, Tennessee to look at a program called Fatherhood Fridays. This program is a brainchild of Milwaukee native Michael Pratt. Pratt was tired of hearing about the reading gap between Black and white boys, and instead of getting upset, this assistant principal started a program where Black men will go into the schools and read and mentor the Black children. So our guest today for today's show is Michael Pratt, founder of Fatherhood Fridays in Nashville, Myra Taylor, principal of Buena Vista Elementary School in Nashville, John Daniels III, founder of MKE Fellows in Milwaukee, Linnell Ramey, executive director of Mentor Greater Milwaukee, and Andre Lee Ellis, founder of We Got This Urban Garden. But first, we're going to start with Michael. So, Michael Pratt, can you talk a little bit about Fridays and what you were trying to do?
Fatherhood Fridays started when I was assistant principal at John Early School, and John Early in Nashville was located in 37208 zip code, and that zip code had the highest rate of African-American and male incarceration in the nation at one point. So when I came to the school, I looked around. We had over 60 fights in 2 months, and it was pretty rough. But I looked around and I said, what's missing? And the thing that I saw was missing was men. So I just came up with some strategies of how we can get engaged men in the school, and came with the program Fatherhood Friday, where we would have breakfast in the morning with men. Men would come in and have breakfast with kids, and we'd also have a piece where we would display something from the community, and we have a community circle. And the idea of it is that, kids will be what they see. So in that community, if you see people selling dope, then that's what you're gonna do. And more importantly, and more specifically, kids will be what they see men doing confidently. So, if we're very confident in our athletic ability, then, we're going to have a lot of athletes. If we're very confident in our rap, then we're going to have a lot of rappers. So we need to, the idea is to create something where children can see men being confident in literacy, reading with literacy. So that's what the program was about, and it is about. And we did it at John Early, and I'm involved in a lot of different organizations. I began to call some of the people from my organizations, and I like to say that the mottos of organization or the principles are the smelling salts. So if I'm a member of Phi Beta Sigma, I just say, hey, we stand for brotherhood, scholarship, and service. So that's what we're supposed to do. And I called the fraternity, and they came out. I called other fraternities and various groups of men, and they came out. It was 30, 40 men coming to read with kids. So it was really phenomenal. And eventually it became to the point I started thinking of Dr. Jawanza Kunjufu, who talks about African-American male literacy rates in third grade being the critical grade. And the feeder school for John Early, it was Buena Vista. So I looked at Buena Vista, and they had Myra Taylor, a phenomenal principal who is community centered. So it was a lot of the things that I was doing at John Early. I paid for the food, and I did most of the organizing. But when I came and we did Fatherhood Friday on the elementary school level, we saw the impact. It just, she multiplied everything that I did. And it was just phenomenal. At one point, we had 66 men come in at 7:45 to 8:15 to come in and read to kids. And at the beginning of it, I asked kids, how many of y'all have been in a room with two men reading? And nobody raises their hand. How many have been in a room with one man reading? And I think I saw something in the New York Times that the average adult reads one book a year. So, and most kids don't see their parents reading, so they're going to be, what they see, and they need to see men reading. And when we put those books out and those men pick up the books, the kids stare at them, then the kids pick up the books, so it's really just a phenomenal process. And at Buena Vista, we were able to just expand it. Kids were, Ms. Taylor, she provided food, and she did recruitment and things. So it just expanded, and the kids just loved it. And we could see that we were not just creating kids who were able to analyze text for tests, but we were creating lifelong readers, lifelong learners, people who enjoy, kids who enjoy books like they enjoy PS5 or something like that. So,
well, one thing that's important is, the men get something out of this too as well, the mentors. What do they get?
Absolutely. And that's one of the keys, is that the men, it was really funny because I'm a member of Phi Beta Sigma, and I talked to someone who was a member of Omega Psi Phi, and I said, hey, we're great in our community service, and and we kind of egged them on. And then all of a sudden, the next one we had a bunch of, it was like 14, 15, maybe 20 men of Omega Psi Phi came, and they were actually more than the Sigma. So we have, with organization wise, we have competitions in most things, but we really should be competing to who can be the best in the community. And that's the real competition. So, and the other thing is that when you mentor, a lot of times when I ask someone, a friend, and say, hey, why don't you come to Fatherhood Fridays? The first question is really they're asking, what do you need me to do? And I got a lot on my plate and those things. So I tried my best to design it in a way where it was friendly to men, where you come in, you eat, and you sit down and read, and then you connect with kids, and it's easy, and that's the thing, is that I think we believe sometimes as men, we have to be perfect to be a mentor. And when I first was asked to mentor, I was like, I don't know if you want me to mentor. I'm not ready yet, but you can teach someone what to do or teach them what not to do. So everyone could be a mentor, and we have to create, Father Friday creates a venue where men can be successful mentoring. And once they do it, they get hooked, and once they engage those kids and become confident in what they bring to the table, they hooked. When they say, what should I wear? Should I wear a tie? I say, where would you go and wear to work? Where, if you take off, then where would you? They need to see all kinds of men who were formerly incarcerated, men who are CEOs of companies, all different types of men, and they need to see those men reading.
Let's bring on Myra Taylor, if we can. I want to find out from her, how has that changed the impact on your school, especially with the young boys in your school?
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you for this opportunity. First of all, one way to quantify our success was saw an increase in library circulation after a few Fatherhood Fridays. The first one, not so much, but after the students got used to it, they knew it was coming. They would ask, hey, when are we doing that thing with the people again? Which was Fatherhood Friday. We saw an increase in the circulation in the library. Our kiddos wanted the books in their hands. They wanted to read. They wanted to engage with texts that were on their level, that they could read and take home and bring back and get new books. So we absolutely saw an increase in students' interest in reading, not necessarily their reading levels, but their interest in engaging with the text.
So can you explain a little bit about where Buena Vista is located? It's in a really rough zip code. Can you talk a little bit about that?
It's the same zip code that Mr. Pratt was speaking about, the 37208. Unfortunately, Buena Vista is no longer. Our district consolidated that school with another school that's less than a mile away. It's directly across the street from government housing, which, we had students from all, from a wide range. We had students who walked to school from across the street. We also had parents who drove their kids to our school because they knew their students would get all of the supports they needed. But just to give you a quick idea, I had one student, a girl, who at our second, I believe it was our second Fatherhood Friday, asked me, Miss Taylor, can I still participate? My daddy's dead. Her father had been killed a few years before. And I was like, of course, you can be a part of this. We want you here. We will have someone here that can read with you. Our bus driver, who was a man, came every time. And there were a few students who waited for him. They would wait for our bus driver to come because he was their mentor. It meant a lot to our kiddos to have those men come in, eat with them, sit with them, and read a real book with them. It's been huge. Like I said, Buena Vista is no longer a school per se, but our students are still here. We've consolidated with another school, but our students still have those needs. We had a mentor come in from the state to meet with our fourth grade boys, just the fourth grade boys. and he asked them, how many of you have a parent who is incarcerated? Every child but one raised, every child but one. So we're talking about 42 kids raised their hands. So that just gives you an idea of the community in which we serve.
Yeah. Earl?
And yeah, Mr. Pratt, I guess the same question goes for you. How do you quantify the success of the Fatherhood Friday program where you are? And I guess what are some ways that you've seen that go forth with your students?
I think one of the main ways is just inspiring men to mentor. So it got to the point where people wanted to have it. We would have it once a month or once every 2 weeks. People wanted to have it every Friday. And the other one aspect of the Fatherhood Friday is not just the kids, but empowering men to be mentors. So I began to see a lot more activity from the organizations and other people, from those men and a lot of other mentoring organizations. So I think that's one of the keys is to inspire men to reconnect back to their communities, and not just men, but inspire organizations. So that was one of the main things that I saw that I was really impressed with, that, was constantly, men asking me, hey, are we going to do a Fatherhood Friday this weekend? And in the beginning, I would have to, take time personally to just talk to someone to convince them to mentor. But it was, it was references. There were whole groups of people showing up who I hadn't talked to, or, it was just, so I think that's it. It's just creating a movement of men being engaged in the community. That's one of the main ways I quantify it.
And go ahead.
Just for a second, we saw an increase in our library circulation as well. Our students were interested. Our students would ask us. And then we had fathers who would call and say, hey, did I miss one? When is the next one? So that's another way that we were able to quantify success, because the students were engaged. They were interested. They wanted to know when the next event was. And we had our parents calling as well. Hey, when is the next one? I'm coming. I'm bringing a colleague. We had one dad bring the whole service department from the car dealership he worked at. So, they were, every man would bring one, and they were very interested in just being a part and did not want to miss it.
That's it. It was one instance where we do a circle, inside, outside circle at the end, and we had more kids than adults. So the inside, outside circles where the men will face a child and they'll ask a question and they'll engage each other, then they'll rotate. But we had more kids than adults. And then I asked the kids, what's the problem here? And they said, we don't have enough men. And the next time we had, it was just an unbelievable amount of men. I think that's where we had like 66, 67 men come that time.
Because you challenged them. You said, hey, men, we need y'all to bring somebody.
Yeah. And that
next time, and they promised you out the door, I'm gonna bring some of my friends next time.
Yeah. We made them promise. And I think, and I'm gonna say with Ms. Taylor, the key to it also is also doing it at using an institution or a place or a school and having a leader that is community centered. And that's why I think Fatherhood Friday was great, but you have leaders who are, professionally centered or politically centered, but she's community centered. So everything I did there just blossomed because we had someone who was just as engaged as I was. And then we just added more people. So it's just multiplying the greatness.
So what are these children? I'm going to ask this and then I'll shut up for a second. But I do want to know what are these children? And in a lot of these cases, you mentioned some of these mentors, too. They come from different professions and different walks of life. But, what are the students and what are the mentors getting from these fatherhood initiatives? What are they learning? What are they talking about? Just the subject matters, and what do they walk away with?
Pratt, if you don't mind, can I go just?
Please. So
I just want to say, I know from doing this for 20 plus years that the primary thing that our students, the low socioeconomic background lack is exposure. And this was all about exposure. It was exposing our students to a different type of environment. Our kids were exposed to professionals. They were exposed to blue collar workers. They were exposed to a variety of texts, whether it was fiction or nonfiction. And they were exposed to people, adults, men who sat with them and read a text and had a discussion about that. So what our kids got was the exposure. It opened up doors. And I know that sounds like a cliche, but it's the truth. You have a child who has never sat with an adult other than a teacher in a school to read a book. And most of their teachers are not Black men. So they would sit with the teacher and read a book. Now they have a man, an adult, who comes in and reads a book and talks to them about the book and asks them, what do you want to be as an adult? How do you see your future? That gives our students a totally different lens. They took away being exposed to something different, and it sparked imagination, I would say. It sparked their imagination. It sparked their desire to do and be and see something different than what they've always been. So that is from my perspective. Mr. Pratt?
Yeah, that's it. And I think sometimes it's easy to quantify test scores and things, or but the reality is relationships, at our core and primary. So developing those relationships and those men coming back to that school, many of them participated even in between and after Fatherhood Friday. So that's the key, is just to ignite that fire under the men and under those organizations, and to raise expectations for kids. When a young lady sits in a room with 60 men, a second grader, and she sees men reading, then she expects the man later on that she meets or to read. And when boys see other men reading, they read. And I think I remember there was one instance where two boys came up to one of the readers and said, "Hey, I can do push-ups. I can do these push-ups." But that's the way these boys thought to impress a man, is that let me show you how many push-ups I can do. It has to always be physical. So just changing that mindset through Fatherhood Friday is really a mindset thing.
Yeah, which brings up relationships. And I want to bring on John Daniels III to talk about the relationships that were developed between mentors and students over the summer through his MKE Fellows and Fellows program. John, talk a little bit about the MKE Fellows and working with the school over the summer.
Sure. Thanks so much. We're really excited this year to be able to work with students at a few schools in the city of Milwaukee. I run the MKE Fellows program, and it's composed of college-age students. And the number of middle school students who had never met someone who looked like them in college was just mind-blowing to me. I think the statistic I heard the other day is that in America, 83% of elementary educators are Caucasian females, and that only 7% are African American, and of that 7%, only 2% are male. And so to have these young college students who are close to their age, being able to talk to them about math and reading, it really was amazing, even hearing some of the things that they discussed about their majors and topics that interest them.
So what school did you work with over the summer?
So we were both at Metcalf, and then we were on Holy Redeemer's campus as well. And that gave us an opportunity to deal with a variety of middle school students who had a variety of areas of experience. At Metcalf, we had students in that zip code who had students who went to Marquette, college students who went to Marquette, and they had similar experiences. And having them have the opportunity to talk about, oh, yes, I went to this school, or I remember riding the 12, or whatever it was, gave them an opportunity to build a relationship, to not just talk about the fundamentals of education, but also to build a relationship of similarities and hear about how they too could succeed in their career.
Yeah, one thing that I noticed that, when I observed how the MKE Fellows were working with the students was just a simple relationship. The young people really wanted to impress these fellows. I mean, they really wanted to impress them. So they read, they talked, they considered them like big brothers. And that was a very unique feeling. And I just think that's inspiring. And can you talk a little bit about what the MKE Fellows and how that whole relationship started with them in the school in the first place? Because normally they would be offered internships to do other things.
Yeah, so this year has been a year of challenges for almost all of us. And one of the things we noticed in the springtime is that the reading levels of students was struggling through virtual education. And so we set up a partnership first with Metcalf School to have some of our college students, our MKE fellows are there's about 200 young men from the Milwaukee area who go to about 30 different colleges across America. We wanted to partner them with these middle school students. In a normal year, our internships are at Baird and Advocate Aurora and Northwestern Mutual and companies working in finance and engineering and at GE. But because of the nature of being virtual for safety, we created a program that we called the 5 Pillars that really helped the young people to know that it wasn't just a college student that was investing time in their education, but there were strong pillars of the community that were standing behind them, and they had this support system behind them as they too continue to work on their education. And so we hired the college students to do this throughout the year.
How can a student apply to be a fellow?
So glad you asked. We interview fellows during their senior year in high school. Is when they can start being a fellow by going to www.mkefellows.com. But also we have students who come on during their college years. And so there are both students who are in undergrad as well as getting professional degrees who find the programming of the MKE Fellows to be helpful because everyone needs a mentor, not just young people, but everyone needs a mentor to help them to be successful in life.
This is a good time to bring on Linnell Ramey, Executive Director of Mentor Greater Milwaukee. A good segue for you. Everyone needs a mentor. Let's talk about what you do at Mentor Greater Milwaukee.
Absolutely. First of all, thanks for having me. And Mr. Daniels couldn't have said it better. A lot of times, and even Brother Pratt alluded to it earlier, it's like people get confused on what a mentor is, but it's really about that support system, right? It's really being a leverage for a young person to allow them to navigate life's issues and potentially see something in themselves or get something brought out of them that traditionally hasn't been seen or talked about. So some of the things that advantages of mentors does is we know for a fact that young people who have a mentor in their life are 37% less likely than their peer to do something like skip school. They're 50% less likely than their peer to skip an entire day of school. So when we start to see things like that happen with a young person in school, it starts to transform the thinking that a young person will have in school. Everything from their ethnic and racial identity, for example, when you put a Black man, a man of color in front of a student, it starts to build their confidence in who they are as a Black man. And I wanted to say something because Brother Pratt alluded to this a little bit earlier regarding about data, for example, because sometimes we start a mentoring program like they did at the school, and then people want to see reading numbers increase that same year. What took years to tear down takes years to rebuild up. So we need to have the opportunity to allow mentorship to be a part of that process. When you start to put men of color in front of students, and I love what you said about men of all backgrounds, because everybody has a story. It's how you tell that story, which makes you an effective mentor, right? So if you want to only tell your war stories about what you did when you was on the block and that's all you're speaking to, then you're going to keep that young man's mind boxed in the block that you're talking to. But when you can expand their thinking and show how you made it out, and you from the same neighborhood and you went to the same school. I went to the best high school there is, Riverside University High School here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And I stand on that, right? But when you show that type of love, and to your point, Earl, right? Because you're gonna stand on Marshall, right? You're gonna stand on our school. But when you start to show the love and passion that you have about your experiences, that's what mentorship is about. Then our young Black boys start to see that, and they see a different Black man than what they're being told about who they are. Because many times my young brothers only see what's in their kind of 2-block radius, and therefore that's what they think they're supposed to become. But we get to tear down that myth through mentorship. We get to remove those barriers through mentorship by being allies for our young people and speaking up for our young people and allowing them to see a different them as well.
Now, Linnell, you're on a mission to bring in 1,000 new mentors by the year's end. How is that going?
Well, COVID pumped the brakes on a lot of stuff, right? But it pumped the brakes hard, and so we started a campaign, and right around May of this year, and it's called Real Men Mentor MKE, and the whole objective is to get more men of color involved in mentoring, because just like they were mentioning about the school project that they did with their mentoring program, one of the biggest deficiencies we see across the board when you talk about mentoring is Black men in particular, and men of color in particular, being mentors. So our goal is to still recruit 1,000 mentors, and what we do is we help recruit for program partners throughout the greater Milwaukee area. So programs like MKE Fellows, where they continually need mentors, we use the platform that we have to recruit for programs like that. Big Brothers Big Sisters, Running Rebels, the list goes on. We have about 50 program partners that we work with right there in our city.
This is to you, Mr. Ramey, or anybody that wants to answer honestly. But my question is about the importance of mentors from all backgrounds. I know you mentioned, we talked about having people from all backgrounds, and I don't know if we're just talking about Black men, or is it important to just have a mentor? Period. Does it matter that they're a Black man or that they're a Black woman or whatever background they're from? I'm just wondering, is it important to have a mentor that looks like you more so than it is to just have a mentor, period?
It is important to have a qualified, effective mentor, period. Right? Yeah. Now, we know demographically speaking, the brick walls that are in front of our Black boys, period, right? At every level. We know what that is. So, but if we put a mentor in front of them who is culturally relevant, who has been trained, who understands that they need to have an open and eliminate their explicit biases and their implicit biases for that matter, right? If we have a mentor, period, in front of our young people in general, we know they're going to be successful. One of the favorite data points that I see is that 130%, a young person with a mentor is 130% more likely to hold a leadership position by simply having a mentor in their life. So we don't want to scare people off who want to be mentors, because we need everybody to step up. And I call it paying it forward by being a mentor. So anyone can be one.
Only thing I would add to that, Linnell, is that we've seen diverse mentors of all backgrounds not only talk about how effective it's been for the young people, but sometimes mentors of different cultures find it very helpful for themselves because they learn a lot as they serve as a mentor to different people.
Absolutely. We've been telling people really since the racial injustice march has been going on that mentoring can be a tool to help discuss and combat racial injustice throughout our country, because it opens up doors for communications about culture and about individual culture and helps grow, I think, cultural competency across our country. So.
Well, this is a great time to bring in Andre Lee Ellis. Andre works with disadvantaged boys in the 53206 zip code in Milwaukee, and he's doing phenomenal work with them and changing their lives and saving lives. Andre, mentoring is the key to what you do. It's about gardening, but it's about mentoring as well. Talk about your program and anything that sparked you today.
Okay, and I'm going to try to keep it real short so that it fits in the time frame, because it's a lot. Just today, I got a call, and there was a murder on the corner of 11th and Burleigh Street in the 5320 zip code, 53206 zip code where we operate, a 24-year-old young man. And we're trying to get to the bottom of that. Just last week, we saw cremated an 18-year-old man that was murdered and shot a few times. So We Got This was created 8 years ago, and it came as I saw a young man lay dead in the streets and decided to take a vacant lot next to my home and turn it into an urban garden. I thought that if we could start gathering and talk about the issues in the community, then the people would begin to collectively think of ways to take care of it together. And it started working. They would come on Saturday mornings to the garden. They have to be there by 8 o'clock. They would be there for 4 hours. They would get 20 hours for working But then mentors would come every Saturday, and I would never know exactly the number of men that would come. But what I begin to see is that every time these young men were with an older Black man that looked different or acted different than one that was either in their home or not in their home, they had a sense of hope on their face. They begin to ask questions and they begin to dream. Once I had 100 young Black boys between 12 and 16 years old in the garden on a Saturday morning. They have to be on time. If they come 8:00.1 is late. If they come late, they cannot work. I had 100 boys and I asked them, how many of you don't know your dad? 90 of them raised their hand. I asked, how many of you know your dad but still don't have a relationship? 5 more raised their hand. Out of 100 Black boys, 12 to 16 years old, who got up to be at the garden at 8 o'clock in the morning to work with mentors and get paid $20 for the day, only 5 of them knew their dad and may have had a relationship with them. That was when I tagged the term. I'm not your birth dad. I am the earth dad. Call me Pops. And from there, they begin to feel a sense of feeling better. We went from being the second highest crime block in that neighborhood within 3 years of not even being on the list, and to the day it's the same thing. The young men feel a sense of ownership because what we used to lease, we now own. And if you come over there, it's looking better and better. And so are the backyards of the neighbor. So, but we went from just mentoring the young men to helping single mothers inside the house with the work that they do. Now, the pandemic slowed things down this summer. We were not able to do the Saturday greeting, but I made sure that the Earth Dad was in that garden every day. And I can tell you that throughout the week, young Black boys trying would come that way. I also was afforded the pleasure of becoming a gardener at the Vel Phillips Juvenile Justice Center. So now I'm connected to the young men while they're inside of the jail. And when they come home, they can come to the garden. I can tell you that it's not easy. There's never enough money. There's never enough mentors, but there's a whole lot of heart, and that goes a long way. I'm very proud of many of the young men that have been in our program. Just the other day, Alan Armstrong, a young man that was a gangbanger for a long time, came, and he was at 18. He was so proud he got a job through Employ Milwaukee. So it's all about connection, and to me, that's what mentoring is about the most. And if we can get the proper resources inside of the houses, we can slow down the bloodshed in the street. But it's not a pretty picture, 53206 in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. But it can be a beautiful ending if we continue working together.
Well, that brings me up to this question on Andre. I remember being in the garden with you 2 summers ago, and it was a situation where this white mentor was taking the boys out to clean up the neighborhood. And a driver stopped, a Black woman stopped, and she wanted to know if the boys were okay because they were with this white man. And the mentor told you about this incident, and you made you spoke out about it at the garden. You said, if I had more Black men to come down here and mentor the kids that look like us, then we wouldn't have these issues. So that was a powerful statement. I guess the question is to the panel is, how do we get more Black men involved in this mentoring aspect, make a difference?
Well, first of all, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just going to say this quickly. For me, I had to start to become what I want them to see. I coined the term whenever I took my baseball cap off, and I would let them know the old man is a cold man. You want to make it to 60, you got to be a cold old man. And so many of them look at me not like as just only Pops, but as granddad, as uncle, anybody that they could relate to. But young Black boys really miss having a mentor that looks like them, especially if someone has been through what they've been through.
And I was just going to add, one of the things that we have to do is eliminate the barriers for people to become a mentor. I mean, we have to maintain a safe space. We have to make sure that our young people are not put in vulnerable situations, but we have to provide an opportunity for men to be vulnerable with young men to share their experiences and their life lessons. So in a space, for example, like Andre's, you know, he's able to use the garden as a tool. And then men who want to be a mentor don't have to be so worried about the conversation, because then Andre also gives them a topic to discuss. So we have to make our mentors feel comfortable in the situation enough to be engaged. And then they have to find the right situation for them. I've had people who want to be mentors, for example, who may say they know about Andre Lee Ellis, they know about MKE Fellows, they know about Big Brothers Big Sisters, but the question is, what meets your needs? So we have to point them in the right direction, and that's what Mentor Greater Milwaukee does. It showcases all 55 of the organizations, and then finds the right fit for them. But we do need more men of color in the space of mentorship, because again, it helps our young brothers get more strength in their ethnic and racial identity by seeing something that they're being told does not exist.
And I was going to say that I think we have to do our spiritual CPR to our organizations. We have a bunch of organizations, but we have to go to the NAACP and say, this is what you stand for. This is what Brother Ellis is doing over here. So you need to be here. You know, we need to go to our fraternities and say, you know, we expect our community needs y'all to do more than step. You know, more than wear your shirt. So, and these are your principles. So, and we can say that in a respectful way, but the principles of these organizations are really like the smelling salt that we wake them up with. And my experience is that when you do that, they come, you know, they come and they show up.
And James, for me, it's not about the compete. It's about the complete. And so our young Black boys need to know that everybody that wants to work with them aren't interested in their sexuality, aren't interested in hustling them for money. We got 9-year-old boys in our communities that are carrying armed guns and are ready to shoot you because that's what somebody trained them to do. So one thing I like about the book idea and reading is that it gives them another perspective. And me being the older man, because of theater being my background, I've done theater for many years all over the country. I amaze little Black boys when they hear me read out loud. So, Mr. Pratt, I do take trips. Just understand that.
Yes, sir.
But the most phenomenal person to me that God made is the young Black man, because who knew that he would have to endure and complete with so much that he has to compete with. There are budgets and things already set up. Once I had a student of about 28 white doctors come from Marquette University that were in the garden, and they're studying urban everything. They were studying urban medicine and everything. And I asked them, I said, you know, you can go to school or any college, even a HBCU, and you can get a degree in urban anything. And we all know we're usually talking about Black and brown impoverished communities when we say that. So I said, then what college or university do I go to get me a degree in suburban anything? Who teaches me how to keep white people poor? Because if we rehabilitate all of these Black boys and they no longer go to jail, what are they going to do with their degrees and their jobs? Because everybody don't love their job. They just love how it pays for their living.
You are listening to MKE Live, a joint project of the Journal Sentinel Ideas Lab, the Milwaukee Public Library, Milwaukee PBS, and WWM 89.7 Milwaukee's NPR. Myra, real quick, what caused you to allow these men to come in? I mean, did you face any kind of kickback from maybe parents or something like that, allowing men to come in to read to the students?
Yeah, so you can't see, but behind me, I have 2 young Black boys of my own. So anything that comes my way that is about uplifting Black boys, I'm all for it. So when Mr. Pratt was introduced to me in his program, I was like, when can we start? I'm all in. Now, I did get a little bit of pushback. We had moms who, once they heard about it, I had moms saying, well, what are you doing for the moms? Well, we're always doing for the moms. We do muffins with moms. We have Mother's Day functions. We are always engaging our moms. And so I would share that. Well, we got things coming up for the moms, but, and Mr. Pratt will attest to this, then we had moms who wanted to start coming to the Fatherhood Fridays. just because their child did not have a dad. So they thought they would come and be a sit-in for that dad to stand in. And that's part of the problem. We don't need women trying to be dads, dads or men mentors are what we need. So I was all in from the beginning just because of where I come from, and because I am raising 2 Black boys of my own. And anything that I would expose my own children to, I want to expose my students to. But even through the pushback, we kept it moving. Mr. Pratt has reached out to me already to do a virtual Fatherhood Friday in the next few weeks, and we're on board. Anything I can do to show my students something different, to just spark a bit of imagination and a bit of what could be, I'm all in.
So we have a question from Facebook. I think we're all in the consensus that we need more Black male mentors, but the question comes from Facebook about how white women can help address the need for either a mentor, I guess, whether it comes from supporting the fellow, supporting the Fatherhood Friday initiatives, supporting the garden, any of that stuff. How can a white woman be an asset to this mentorship that we're talking about?
I'm gonna go back to finding the space that one fits your needs, but also being respectful of spaces that have been designed for a very specific need. Like just with MPS here in Milwaukee Public Schools, there's the Department of Black and Latino Male Achievement. And as John Daniels was speaking to earlier, we know in the school district, women predominantly make up the teachers. So when there's spaces that have been identified for males only, we need to stay there. But I do feel like, to her question, there are plenty of spaces where you can still be a mentor to a young girl. And there's spaces like MKE Fellows where you can be a mentor to a fellow. So it just really depends on what the program is, how the program is designed to function, to find the space that best fits your need.
Thanks, Linnell. I think generally, I think that when people are well-intentioned and they don't think that they are the savior for any case, then they are more effective being allies and walking through situations. We have white females and white males who are mentors who work effectively, but we also know that we have some amazing African-American males and females who have a different message that they can bring. And so I think it is finding how you fit into whatever organization it is, whether it is working directly with the young men themselves in our program, or it may be in a coaching aspect. So we have professional development with our organization. That may be a better mentor type role that you could serve in.
And for us, James, if I can add to that, I have a personal slogan. It doesn't matter the color if you really want to help a brother, especially if you're already a mother. So women are welcome no matter what, because once you come into that gate, it's all about growing food. And as long as everybody have their hands in the soil, they can keep them off the trigger of a gun.
Those are great points. But getting back to what Pratt was talking about it in the first place, the importance of having men in these spaces, it seems to work miracles with these young people. And we're seeing that they're going to the library more, they want to do more, they're interested in reading. When it comes to Black men, there's just something special. And I think, and the principal could answer this, or Pratt could talk about this too as an assistant principal, the need to get more Black male teachers in the classroom. Can we talk a little bit about that?
Let me just jump in for a second, because as a principal, part of my job is recruitment and retention. And I'm always looking to recruit men, because what I've noticed with in the area that I serve, they respond differently to men, particularly men of color. I can be in the hallway and I can say, come on, get it together. My kids will listen because they understand how I function. But if there is a man, I had a paraprofessional who was at my building who could step in the hall and say, come on, guys, let's get going. And those students responded a little bit differently. It is critical and crucial that we get more men, Black and brown men, in the classrooms working with our students. My sons have never had a Black male teacher, and I have one that's graduating high school this year, and he has never had a Black male teacher and has only had one male teacher. We have got to get our people in school so they can work with our students and and inspire them. It's a different level of inspiration, that when you can look at someone who looks like you and who's been where you currently are, and can push you and speak your language and speak to your passion, and can speak to your pain, and can speak to your purpose and propel you to the next level. It is absolutely critical. The earlier the better. Elementary school preferably, high school definitely. We have to do that. We have to find a way to get more men in our school buildings.
I absolutely agree. I think it goes back to, they will be what they see, and things happen intentionally. We have to, with our historically Black colleges, and just in general in our community, we have to celebrate the male teachers that we have. And the reason that when you asked a second or third grader, young man, what he wants to be, and he says, and 80% of them, most of them, going to say basketball player, football player, or rapper. That's because we've given them permission, and that's what I think mentoring is about. If you see 6 engineers in your house, you're going to be the 7th engineer. So we have to, if you see teachers, many of the people in my family are teachers, educators, and I'm an educator. So mentoring, when you see people who you admire doing great things, then you move in that direction. You get permission to be great in that way. So that's what we have to do, and I think we have to be intentional with it. Milwaukee Public Schools, Nashville Public Schools, different public school systems need to be intentional in that recruitment. I always, when I talk to kids, I say, hey man, you're gonna be a teacher, right? And they be like, man, these kids, they always say no, but I'm always telling them, like, hey, you're gonna be a teacher, what's the problem? So I'm always saying that to young men and young boys and young girls, that, you need to be a teacher. You need to think about it, think about that. And I've even heard some people say, just one theory thing, where there's people saying that if our universities if everybody would have to do the internship of like teaching for 2 years before you went off into your trade, I mean, our community would be, because we'd all be connected to our community. Because once you teach, you don't go back to back to the other stuff. It changes you. So that's what I'm thinking.
That's deep. So I have a story coming out on this program, Fatherhood Fridays, next Sunday. So make sure you pick up the paper. And I also have a story coming out on the need for Black male teachers in MPS and throughout the nation. That's going to be coming out that following Monday. So look forward to it. We're going to wrap up things here, but I want to give everybody a chance to, first of all, talk about how many, who was your mentor, and how important was that person to you, and what did they inspire you to do?
Go ahead. We start with Miss Taylor. We start with the sister first.
I knew you were calling me. Honestly, my mentors, and it sounds cliche, it's the truth, were my teachers. I knew I would be an English teacher when I hit 9th grade. And my teacher, Miss Lillian Carter, was a dynamo. And I wanted to be everything she was. And I've always known I would be a teacher, but it wasn't until 9th grade English, and I actually was a year ahead. So I was a 9th grader taking 10th grade English, that I knew that my calling was an English teacher. And this lady was everything I wanted to be. And then all of my teachers became my mentors. My business teacher just saw something special in me, and she just groomed me. My English teacher was my inspiration, but my business teacher groomed me to be the educator I am today. And they were both Black women in a school. I'm from Richmond, Virginia, and it was a school like the one that I teach in. And these women, I owe I am their legacy, and I am so proud to represent them.
I come from a family very strong women, and intelligent, educated women. But my primary male mentor, of course, is my father, Marvin Pratt, and no matter what went on in my life, is he always gave me positive. I remember when I was younger, he said, you're pretty smart, or you're a pretty nice looking boy, or something like that. He would say things, but when you hear those things and you have doubts with yourself, you play them back, and that's how I know that mentoring provides permission. Men can plant seeds, and we say, well, how does that quantify into what's changing right now? But it may not happen right now, but later on, there's changes that are going to happen. So I have to say my father and my uncles, who were a diverse group of men. So I had a lot of mentors.
And quickly, James, I'll chime in. My favorite mentor is Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson is an 80-something-year-old black man who, when I was 13 years old, he became an alderman. And not only did he become alderman, but he became one of the first acting mayors in the city of Milwaukee. Alderman Marvin Pratt, or former Mayor Pratt, is another admired man. But Ben Johnson, when I saw him build his house on Lindsay Street, right there in the 53212 zip code, when I saw him move forward the way he did, I became best friends with his son Jay at Roosevelt Junior High School. To this day, I'm 60 years old. Ben is 80-something. And since I was 13, I've been able to go to him and find just what I need to hear in order to keep my inner motor going. Young black men will follow you to the end of their lives when they believe that you have their best interests at heart. So hats off to Ben Johnson.
Great.
I've had so many mentors in my life. I remember my first year teaching. The principal, Alton Townsell, was absolutely phenomenal in making sure that I really understood what I was doing, or even thinking back, Gerard Randall, when I worked for the governor, he was so amazing at helping me navigate certain waters. There's been so many pioneering men in this city who've taken out time to have conversations with me, not only to mention other relatives that and family friends that have just poured into me as I've done different things in my career.
Linnell.
Tom Wild, I speak about him all the time. He was my freshman year homeroom teacher, and he reconfirmed the things my parents, like to Brother Pratt's point, my father was the biggest role model ever I had in my life. But it was my teacher, Mr. Tom Wild, my freshman year at Riverside University High School, that really poured into me and saw something in me I never saw myself.
I think of a couple people. One, I think of course, my dad, who has always inspired me to follow my dreams and do what I wanted to do in my career and in my life. But also think of a mentor I met kind of randomly. Was at a barbershop. As a matter of fact, I went to go get my hair cut once, and I happened to see this dude that I watch every Saturday morning. Wow, that's DeMarco. That's DeMarco Morgan. So I was too shy to ever talk to him, but my cousin who used to cut my hair there, he was gracious enough to introduce me. And from there on out, I met him, and, I found out how nice of a person he was, and how accomplished he was. And he's been a resource for me ever since. So my dad and DeMarco Morgan, former anchor at WISN 12, along with the host of other people that have been so helpful to me.
Well, I guess it's my turn. Obviously it would be my father, who I love dearly, who I just lost not too long ago. But another person who was important to me was my grandfather. I never thought my grandfather loved me like that, because he was just tough on me all the time. When I would go to Mississippi, I used to have to work on their farms, and he would he ran me like a drill sergeant would. They would milk cows, feed the chickens, slop the hogs, working, picking everything. And one day I said, Granddad, do you love me, man? You're so mean to me. You say, I'm just making you tough. Of course I love you. And for him to say I love you was a very hard thing for him to do, because black men then just didn't show it or say it. And he actually shed a tear when he said that, and I'll never forget that moment.
Hey, James, can I just reiterate real quick? And I know we're running short on time, but this is why it's so important to recruit mentors, because of most of us who spoke to it, we either spoke to a father, a grandfather, or uncle. And as Andre pointed out, of his 100 boys, only 10 knew their father or had an uncle. So that's why it's so important to have mentors, in particular men of color. It goes back to that point, because even though we just spoke to how our fathers, thank God they were present, but what happens for those who don't have that present male role model of color? So I just wanted to reiterate that, because if we heard what was said, it goes back to the need and the importance of that.
Fantastic. I just want to thank this panel for just great information. We scroll some information below the live, so if you want to get involved, please do. We need more mentors involved. The pandemic has made things worse, so if you could really get involved, there's ways that you could get involved. Please share this live and look at it again, and talk to men about how they could get involved. I want to thank the panel again. I want to thank the people back at the Journal Sentinel, and keep looking for our stories on the Milwaukee's Promise. You can find them at jsonline.com. And with that, I say thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.